All right, let's talk about a supplement that's been getting a ton of buzz lately, black seed oil. It's been around for thousands of years, but is it a genuine game changer or is it just the latest health trend? We're going to find out. And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Can something that's been used for centuries actually stand up to what we know about science today? We're going to dive into the evidence for what it might do for your skin, for your body, and most importantly, what you absolutely have to know before you even think about trying it. So first up, let's get on the same page. What is black seed oil? Well, it comes from the seeds of a plant called Nigella sativa, which you might also know as black cumin. And look, this isn't some new fad dreamed up last week. This stuff has a really deep history in traditional medicine that goes back millennia. Okay, let's kick things off on the outside. We're going to start by looking at all the claims about what black seed oil can do for our skin and our hair. First on the list, acne. A super common problem, right? The theory here is that black seed oil might have these antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory powers, which could help calm down breakouts and maybe even fight off some of the bacteria that causes them in the first place. And you know what? There's some pretty compelling data on this. A study back in 2020 put it to the test. After just 2 months, 60 days of using a gel with black seed extract, people saw a 78% reduction in how severe their acne was. I mean, wow, that is a huge drop. And it wasn't just that things looked better. In that same study, the researchers actually went in and counted the number of acne lesions, and they saw a major drop compared to the group that got a placebo. So that adds a nice, solid layer of science to the whole claim. And the story doesn't stop with acne. When we look at other conditions, like psoriasis, some animal studies suggest it could help with inflammation. And for vitiligo, there was one human study that showed a cream with black seed oil actually improved skin color after 6 months. Now, it's early days for sure, but these are really interesting hints. So what about your hair? Well, some evidence suggests it could help with both density and thickness. In fact, one study that compared a bunch of different seed oils found that Nigella sativa was the best of the bunch for cutting down on hair loss. The secret weapon here seems to be a compound called Thymoquinone, which might be the thing that helps stimulate growth and healing. All right, we've covered the outside. Now let's dive a little deeper and look at what happens when you actually take this stuff internally. The claims about internal health are pretty broad, but when you look at the current research, it really seems to focus on 3 main areas: helping with weight management, controlling blood sugar, and tackling the risks that come with metabolic syndrome. Let's start with weight management. A 2021 study looked at a group of women, and what they found was that taking 2 grams of black seed oil every day for 8 weeks made a real difference. It actually decreased their appetite. And they also saw drops in their BMI, their body weight, and even their waist size. Next up, blood sugar. This is a big deal for a lot of folks. The research suggests that black seed oil might help your body handle insulin more effectively. And that could lead to better blood sugar levels, both when you're fasting and after you've eaten. And all of this kind of ties into something called metabolic syndrome, which is basically just a cluster of conditions that can raise your risk for things like heart disease and type 2 diabetes. And look at these results from another 2021 study. The group taking black seed oil saw improvements across the board. Their blood pressure went down, their total and bad cholesterol went down, and so did their fasting blood sugar. It seems to have a lot of potential benefits all rolled into one. And just a quick word on lung health. There are a few small studies hinting that it might help with asthma symptoms. But I gotta stress, this is really preliminary stuff. We need way more research here before we can say anything for sure. Okay, let's pause. This next part is honestly the most critical piece of this whole thing. If you're even thinking about trying black seed oil, you have to know this stuff about safety, how much to take, and just how to be smart about it. So the first big problem, nobody really agrees on how much to take. The doses used in scientific studies are all over the map, so there's no standard amount. And the big caution here is that we just don't know if it's safe to take for long periods of time, like more than 3 months. And here is the giant reality check for pretty much all supplements in the United States. The FDA does not check them for safety or purity or to make sure the dose is accurate before they land on store shelves. So what you see on the label might not be what's actually in the bottle. It's kind of the Wild West out there. So what can you do to be smart about this? 3 things, and they're not optional. Number 1, talk to your doctor or another healthcare professional first. Number 2,
Tell them everything about your health and any other medications you're on, because you don't want any dangerous interactions. And number 3, look for a seal on the bottle from a third-party group like NSF or USP. That's your best bet to verify that what's inside is what the label says. And finally, a heads up for certain groups. If you're pregnant or if you have any history of liver or kidney problems, you really need to talk to your doctor before even considering something like this.
So, where does all this leave us? The early research on black seed oil is definitely exciting, with some pretty impressive results popping up in these smaller studies. But that's the key word, right? Early. Is this an ancient powerhouse ready for the modern world? Or is it just a trend that needs a lot more proof before we can really get behind it? For now, that's the big question.